I like the alliteration. All right,
Well,
so let's get started, man. So
yeah, let's do it.
for those of you that don't know, Zap and I did a podcast. It was called Run Jump Stomp for a long time, and then I started another podcast on my website all about Nintendo called Switchcraft. And I said, well, I don't know that we should, having multiple shows on there. I think maybe Run Jump Stomp could just be the website, and we'll have different shows. And then we changed the name of the show to, I've forgotten now. What the hell was it?
We play games.
We
We
play
play games.
games. We play
Yeah.
games. We did that for a little while, but between what Zap had going on and what I had going on, we just didn't have time for it to keep doing the show because it took a lot of planning to do a show every week, and we had a lot of trouble nailing down specific times. And it's much easier for me to just do a solo show because I don't have to worry about anybody else's schedule. So that made things so much easier on the Switchcraft side. But Zap and I, for a long time, we sit down and have a chat every single week about video games, and so that's what we're doing today. And we're going to talk about basically two things today: our favorite games this year and our predictions and hopes for next year. So if you don't already follow Zap, tell people where they can find your stuff.
You can find. You are breaking up slightly, Ron. I will say that on my end. I don't know if that's going to affect the recording.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
now and again, you kind of.
chat will let us know, I guess.
Okay, yeah. If chat let us know, then we know there's an issue. Ooh. Hang on a minute. I've lost the monitor. Oh, it's back again. You turned the Christmas lights off, and a monitor went out. Wow, what was that about? No. It's don't touch anything. Monitors are on. Okay, cool. Right. So basically, you can find me on twitch.tv/zapdc. That is ZAPPDCED over on Twitch. YouTube is the same. Twitter is the same. It's all the same place. ZAPPDCED is where you can find me.
All right. So let's start off with we each picked 5 games to be our game of the year or our favorite game this year. It doesn't have to be it's not necessarily that we think it's the best game it's our favorite games this year.
Yeah.
So why don't you start us off with your number 5?
My number 5, now everyone in chat will call me a hypocrite for this one. And this is not my game of the year. My number 1 is my personal game of the year, but this is in my top 5 because it's one of the games this year I've had my most fun and enjoyment with. And some of my laugh out moments, some of my oh my god moments, and that is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. That game has been insane. If anybody doesn't know, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds takes the battle royale system that you've seen in previous games, like DayZ and H1Z1, and they kind of upped it like to 10. And the guy who goes by the name of PlayerUnknown's, he worked on previous titles like H1Z1, DayZ Mod, all these different games, and he basically went, right, okay, I think I can make my own one. And he did, and he made PlayerUnknown's Background. And this game is obviously done in the Unreal Engine 4. It's technically in early, it's still in early access, is why I would never class this as a game that was able to win a Game of the Year award because it's officially not released. But on pure grounds of how much fun that I've had in this game has been incredible. I think I've got clocked so far this year nearly 500 hours in PlayerUnknown's.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just great. It's great to come home from work and just drop into a game and just be killed or kill. And it has that essential in any great game like this. You need that. Oh, just one more turn, and it has that. Yes, all right. For about 20 minutes of the game, you're looting, and it comes down to about the final 5 or 10 minutes. But it's intense. There's barely any sounds. You're walking around, and you've done something really clever with the sound. So if you hear gunfire in your right headphone, the person is on your right hand side. If you hear it on your left headphone, it'll be on your left hand side. if you hear it from, and they've basically done sound as kind of as realistic as possible, where if you were in a field and someone shot you from the right, you'd hear it on the right hand side first, and they work with like how a bullet would fire and how it would sound if it broke the speed of sound and things like that. So there's a lot of kind of tactical play to it, but essentially the game is great fun. And if you haven't played this and you are looking for a hoot and you don't have a powerful enough PC, on the 20th of December it's officially releasing on Xbox One. So Xbox players can go out. I think it's a timed exclusive. They say it's exclusive, but there are rumors and reports that it's a timed exclusive. So PS4 next year probably get it. The Xbox One, 20th of December, and it officially releases out of early access on the 20th of December as well. And this game is probably one of the most popular games this year. It's one of the most viewed on Twitch. I think it broke records, unbelievable records this year.
I haven't played it myself, but that whole genre has really kind of blown up. And for me, the first one that I had heard of was PUBG. Like, I had never heard of that style of game, which is basically Hunger Games. Exactly. I haven't really heard of that before until PUBG came out. And it's funny that that's your fifth game, because my number 5 game is Fortnite. And
really?
Yeah, when Fortnite came out, and it just came out, but I've been playing it for a couple months off and on, and probably since August. And when I first picked it up, I was just playing the regular mode, and I thought, well, this is a pretty cool game. I like it, but it's really not completely grabbing my attention. And then they did the Battle Royale, which they basically stole the gameplay from PUBG, and I've been playing a lot of Fortnite on my PS4, and my son's been playing it as well, and we have a lot of fun with that game. And you're exactly right. The sound is very important in this style of game, and I think I haven't played PUBG myself, but I think Fortnite nails it just like you do. It's best to play that kind of game with headphones so you can tell where are the enemy players from. And it's filled with a lot of these. Now, it's filled with a lot of moments where you are scared that you're going to get found. And there's also a lot of dead, like, time when it's just dead and nothing is happening. You're just running from place to place. But the whole time that you're running from one location to the next, because you're not inside, because you are exposed, you have this fear, this adrenaline, and you're like, okay, I got to get to that building before somebody sees me. You're constantly, your head is on a swivel. And I think that Fortnite, and the big difference between PUBG and Fortnite is Fortnite has this the ability for you to build things while you're going. So if there's a hill in front of you and you want to go up that hill, you can build like a ramp out of the stuff that you've destroyed and climb up to the top of that hill. It's really fun, and I highly recommend, if you haven't played Fortnite or PUBG, I would definitely recommend you check out a game like that, because you're going to have a lot of fun. I really liked that, and it's funny that we both picked that style of game as our number 5.
Have you tried the new 50-50 mode?
You know what? I tried it a little bit this morning. For those of you that don't know, Fortnite has it's for some reason temporary 50-50 mode. They announced it at the Game Awards, and basically you are then on 2 teams, and you just have to, whichever team kills all of the other team wins, which is cool, but I really think that the game will, when you're on teams of 50, it's just too much. But I feel like the game would really shine when you're in teams of 2 or 3. I think it's much more fun that way. I've played a couple of the matches where I've been, queued up with somebody, but the game wasn't, Fortnite was not available to everyone until I think it was like 2 weeks ago or something like that. And so Like now that it's available to everyone, I've got my son an account, and he and I are going to sit down and we're going to play duo mode, and we'll probably have a lot of fun with that. What did you think of the 50-50?
I quite liked it, but it needed a bit of work. It would be nice to be 50-50, but then put in smaller squads.
Well, yeah,
That
you
would
are
be
in small squads.
Yeah, I know you, but it needs to be kind of. I think, like you say, duo squads or something like. Even though you kind of feel like you're making a big a difference in a big scale battle. I'm also a little bit annoyed that it's only a short period. I think unless they're just testing the water for something in the future, but generally, the 1550 mode is good, and I think it's quite a nice spin on the battle royale. But I agree with you that it's too big a kind of small squads in that kind of big 50-50, I think would work really as smaller squads than they've got. But I wonder if they're testing the water for something, because it does seem that kind of way. But overall, Fortnite's a very good, especially if you haven't got a PC powerful enough to play Player Unknowns, because Player Unknowns is one of the worst optimized games of 2017. It's horrendous, and this is and I'm not even joking about PUBG. To run it how I run it, I had to actually go out and build a second PC. That's how that's how bad it is at optimization when streaming it. Not when just I can play it normally, but when streaming it needed to get it at a decent frame rate and stable and everything else. A second PC actually improved the game immensely.
Right.
But as you said, I will reiterate that fact. Go out and try Fortnite, PUBG, because they're great games.
Awesome. You went first, so I'm going to do my number 4 pick first this time. I picked Cuphead as my number 4 favorite game this year. If you don't know what Cuphead is, it is a side-scrolling bullet hell shooter where you are essentially Mickey Mouse, just not without infringing on copyrights. But you are essentially, early Mickey Mouse, and the game has some of the best art direction that I've ever seen in a game. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's really, really fun. My son and I played probably about halfway through the game, I think, on my own. And then my son joined me for a little bit of it, and we had a lot of fun with it too. The only problem is getting 2 controllers to communicate with a PC sometimes is a real hassle. But overall, once we got past the technical hurdles of not playing on a console, we had a lot of fun with Cuphead, and I really enjoyed it. And if you haven't tried it out, definitely try it out. But keep in mind, the game is very, very punishing, and you're going to die a lot, and you have to be okay with that. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is I had it written down here. 2 seconds. Where's it gone? Oh, there it is. My number 4 is something I picked up when we were on holiday in Fuerteventura, which is a lovely island near Spain. If anybody wanted to know. Hello. Why did I do that? So anyway, my number 4 is Sonic Mania. That's my number 4 from this year. Generally, I had a lot of fun with Sonic Mania. That has been an absolute beautiful blast of nostalgia. A real boot of nostalgia. And then what really honed in that fact is that Run Jump held on his Discord a time trial competition. We all tried to go as fast as we can on Green Hill Zone 1.
Yeah, the very first level.
It was just mental. And I think we got down to something like under 30 seconds, or we were 30 seconds. It was just mad how fast you could get. But it kind of brought in this new aspect that I'm going to try in 2018, which is to dedicate some time to trying speed running. But that itself kind of honed in that fact that not only is Sonic Mania a great game, but you've got a group of us together just racing each other through the power of the internet, through one game, through nostalgia build, and wanting to just beat each other by split seconds. And that's a really, really good game. And if you haven't played it, it's on all platforms, I believe. And this is not to be confused with the other Sonic title that released this year, which I think you described as hot garbage run jump.
On a stick, hot garbage on a stick.
That's correct. Yeah, you described it as hot garbage on a stick. That's Sonic Forces. That doesn't even enter this top list. Sonic Mania is a game for the fans of Sonic. It really is. It makes you, as soon as you boot it up on any console and you hear the music, you instantly go back to playing on the Sega. And it works really well. On this little handheld device here, it works really, really, really well. So yeah, Sonic Mania is my number 4.
I can't believe I forgot about Sonic Mania. That game, I had so much fun playing that game. And I will say this, in January, make sure that you pay attention to the Discord. I'm going to have a time trial in the Discord for a new Sonic Mania level. And we're going to have a little race, and will probably be some kind of prize for someone who wins. All right.
I did check out the times. I think I'm still in the top 200.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. Hit us with your... Wait, say that again?
I got beat by someone. I think it was Link. I think Link beat me.
Link did.
Yeah.
Hit us with your number 3.
My number 3, now this is going to be a shock because if you ever caught our show earlier in the year, you heard me rag on this game quite hard because it wouldn't run properly. But later part of this year, I actually got it running really well. Again, thanks to two computers, I managed to finally sit down and play Near Automata. Or Near Automata. And in January, I plan to start streaming this game because I want to share the experience that I had. This game blew my mind when I sat down and played it. It's beautiful. It's got amazing music. Platinum Games have made such an amazing game. It's just a shame that the PC version was literally left dead by Square Enix. Now, I don't normally say bad things about Square because they're like one of my favorite publishers out there. But in this case, they published the game, and it was handled poorly on PC. People with NVIDIA cards were complaining of bugs. There was dodgy resolutions. You had to download a mod from someone in the community to make it run at 1920, 1080. I mean, it was things as basic as that. But once I finally sat down and played it, I sunk some time into it. I can't recommend this game enough. This game is unbelievable. If you have a PS4 or PS4 Pro, go buy it on there because it will work flawlessly. The RPG elements are amazing. As I said, the narrative is wonderful. I can't praise enough, but the only reason it's not higher up in the list is because of the problems it had earlier this year and the way it was handled. It left a really, and like I said, anybody who listens to the show or anybody who knows me knows how frustrating that game was. I mean, at one point, it made my RAM run at 100%. It was killing my PC. It was literally like melting my computer. Anybody who knows me, I know I have technical difficulties. I don't need a game to give me more technical difficulties. So yeah, that's my number 3. Near Automata, Near a Tomato, however you want to pronounce it, is an amazing game. Go play it.
All right. My third game is actually probably going to be a surprise to a lot of people because at the beginning of the year, right after Zelda came out, I tried playing this game and I was very unhappy with it. And it's Horizon Zero Dawn, and I've completely changed my tune. This game needed some space from Zelda, and I haven't finished Horizon Zero Dawn yet, but I have absolutely loved. Like since I've started over in the last month or so, I've had so much fun playing that game, and I really love the world that they have created for this game. It's really, really fun. And there's some things in the game that I feel like they didn't do a very good job teaching me that first time around. And I was able to figure them out the second time around. And it really changed things up. And it's an open world game. You are a girl with a bow and you've got to shoot. You've got to fight robot dinosaurs. And it's the most ridiculous thing, but it's so fun. and it is a wonderful, wonderful world to inhabit. I had so much fun playing Horizon Zero Dawn. If you haven't played it, you absolutely should. Also, it might be the most gorgeous game I've ever seen. It's beautiful.
It's very good.
All right, so number 2. I'm going to start us off with number 2. What's that?
Your number 2.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with number 2. My number 2 game is Mario Odyssey. I love Mario Odyssey. It is so very good. It's again, it's a gorgeous game. And you know, if you're listening to this show, you already know how I feel about this game, but it is an amazing feat of gameplay design. The moves that Mario has in order to traverse these levels are designed in such a way that the game is incredibly accessible while at the same time having a very high skill cap or a skill ceiling, I guess. And I have had a whole lot of fun playing Mario Odyssey. Again, I'm not done with it. I finished the story part, but I still have hundreds of moons to find. And I feel like it's going to be one of these games, along with Horizon Zero Dawn, it's going to be one of these games that I am going to be playing for the whole year. I'm going to keep playing it for the whole year. All right, Zap, what's your number 2, sir?
Number 2, this is completely left field, and it's going to surprise a few of you, maybe not some of you. My number 2 comes out of it's on Nintendo, but it was done by Ubisoft, and it's Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. That game swept me off my feet with its charm, its characteristics, its color. How Ubisoft took what is Nintendo's, golden boy, as in Mario, and did something amazing with it. Nintendo, allowed Ubisoft to go out and do this with their IP, but their one condition was to make a game that wasn't Mario, and they made it. They did it, and for me, this trumps a lot of games that come out this year because of Nintendo putting their trust into another publisher to do this. And when you saw it at I think it was E3, and seeing this unity between two publishers like Ubisoft and Nintendo, it was wonderful. And when we finally got our hands on this game, there I was playing it thinking, wow, this is just unbelievable, the way things are moving, the strategy involved. I know they're just bringing out a new mode now, and all this great stuff. And Mario Kingdom Battle, for me, beats a lot of games this year. And it will surprise a lot that I put this as my number 2, because there's been so many great games out there. And one game, in particular that I think stole a lot of people's heart and was a surprise was Mario Kingdom Battle. So that's my number 2.
Yeah, that's a fantastic game. The thing that, in chat, Vaxxer says it's XCOM for kids. That's an apt point, but at the same time, if I had to choose between this and XCOM, I would choose Mario plus Rabbids every day of the week, because the ability for you to move across the map so fast, it really makes for strategy to be like, you have to think of everything that you could that could possibly happen, and the move sets that the characters have, where you can cross a map and completely go around somebody's defenses if they hadn't thought about what you're going to do. It really makes for a really, really fun game, and I can't wait to play the multiplayer. The patch that was released, I think it was last week.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to even get around to it yet.
Yeah. All right, let's hear your number 1, sir.
All right, so I can't wait to see chat's face, because it's not what people think. Yes, and I don't. So let me explain how I came to this point. Okay, so my number 1 wasn't easy. It was torn between 2 games, 2 that I haven't mentioned yet, and they're on the same platform.
Sonic Forces.
Sonic Forces, it's unbelievable. That's my number 1. Done. Drops the mic, walks off. No, Star Wars loot box. I mean, Battlefront. No, sorry. So basically, I came to this point because I had to sit down and work out what I enjoyed most, what I felt like I got a lot out of these games. I played near later in the year, and it made me joyous that I could play it, and it was a great experience. Mario Kingdom Battle, all great. When I sat down and looked at these two games and went, what have I enjoyed more? To be my number one outweighed it, completely outweighed it, unbelievably. And my number one is Super Mario Odyssey, and that game has been one of the most incredible experiences I've had on a system. And I've got to thank you, Run Jump, for pushing me to get a Switch. For working with you earlier this year, hearing you go on about a Switch, and then me finally going out and getting one, I managed to actually have a chance of playing this game in October and seeing my son play it. My son plays it and he loves it. Mario Odyssey, as you've explained, I know it's your number two, and I have a funny feeling I know what your number one's going to be. So my number one game of the year, my personal game of the year is Mario Odyssey. That doesn't take anything away from the other game that I could have picked, which was Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is, again, it's an incredible game, but for me, Zelda just didn't do it. It's great. I enjoyed my time with it, but Mario Odyssey for me is just a better game for me, and that's what gaming is. At the end of the day, it's a game. Everyone finds different things, and Mario Odyssey, it's just unbelievable. As you said in yours, the colors explode, and the movement, the sounds, and then being beaten by Joel by a second in a time trial that I spent 3 hours on a stream going stark crazy trying to beat. And I struggled that night to decide what to stream. Chuck Super Mario Odyssey in, found this power moon, was like, okay, and then spent 3 hours doing the same time trial. Unbelievable. Mario Odyssey, for me, just unbelievable. That's my number one.
All right. I'm pretty sure everybody knows exactly what I was going to pick for my number one. It is Zelda. Zelda Breath of the Wild. I have 290 hours in or not 290, 190 hours in Breath of the Wild. There's just so much there. The world is so perfectly crafted so that every time that you sit down to play and you have an objective in mind, you start making a grocery list of other objectives to do as you are moving along. And quite often you never reach your original objective because you've found so many incredibly fun distractions as you move across Hyrule. The fact that Zelda was Nintendo's first open world game, and they completely redefined it. They redefined it so much that at the beginning of the year when I played Horizon Zero Dawn, I didn't like the game because it wasn't Zelda enough. I needed to have some space away from Zelda in order to enjoy Horizon Zero Dawn. The ability for you as the character to go wherever you want was so fun, and playing through it and getting not all of the shrines, that I didn't get all of them, but finishing all of the divine beasts and then fighting the boss at the end. And then as soon as the summer DLC came out where it gave me the hard mode, I started playing again, and I had even more fun that time around. It feels like a game that I could literally play forever. In fact, it's funny. I was looking through my friends list on the Switch, and I did have somebody on. I don't know how this is possible, but I had somebody on on my friends list who had 700 hours in Breath of the Wild. I mean, that's the only game that they had on their Switch, but they had 700 hours in it, and I was just like, this is the kind of game that you could do 700 hours and not see everything, because there's. I loaded up the winter DLC, which came out a couple days ago. It came out as part of the Game Awards. I loaded it up today, and I streamed like 3 hours of it. And right at the very beginning of the DLC, I found a Korok seed that I never would have found if not for this DLC. Now, it's not part of the DLC, it just happens to be that the DLC made me go to a place and I was like, oh my God, if this was the last one that I was looking for, I would have lost my mind. I would have lost my mind. Absolutely been furious if this had been the last one that I was looking for. But like, that's the kind of thing is every time that I do anything in that game, I'm always like, oh, look, a distraction. Here's another distraction. And it's just so well made. And the controls are fantastic. And I had a blast playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. So that's my number one game of the year.
It's quite nice to see a slightly different list. When we sat down and originally sort of said we were going to do this, it was you could have thought to yourself, "Oh, we might pick pretty much the same games." But it's quite nice to have a varied opinion on what we've both taken away from gaming in 2017.
Yeah,
it's been an insane year for games. Is it all right to do a couple of honourable mentions?
Sure. How about we'll do one each?
Yeah, an honourable mention goes to Ghost Recon Wildlands. At the time, Ubisoft was in a bit of having a hard time because they just kept copy and pasting the same sort of open world format. And Ghost Recon Wildlands was a little bit the same, but it was a bit of a breath of fresh air from Ubi. And it's an honourable mention from me. It's a great game. If you haven't had a chance, it's got a great multiplayer mode. It's a really, really good game. Go out and give it a go.
All right. And I guess my honourable mention, there's going to be a lot of people who hate this. Star Wars Battlefront 2. I have had so much fun playing that game, and I can't wait to get the next story mode from that. I know that there's a lot of controversy over the microtransactions in the game. I haven't really run into that. Like, I just play the game and then I earn enough credits to purchase the characters that I want. And I have a lot of fun playing it. And the multiplayer mode, I've sunk a lot of hours into that. And so has my son. I've had a lot of fun with it. And I know that it's not popular right now because EA took the fantastic game that DICE made and, layered all of this garbage on top of it. And luckily, they didn't do a very good job selling it because people didn't buy it. They sold, I think, less than 1 million copies, and they were expecting to sell like 16 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun with it, and I can have fun with a game whether or not I have everything in it. And I know that that's not a popular opinion, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I mean, chat's laughing at me because they know my feeling. And it's not that it's not a great game. Star Wars Battlefront is a beautifully gorgeous game. And the first one was a bit of a tech demo. But, this one is an amazing achievement by DICE. Have made a beautiful game, but EA did, basically. And then they didn't learn from. I mean, if you had to give one of your loser sounds to, I think EA is the loser of 2017. The Battlefront saga, then Need for Speed, then UFC. I played the UFC beta when it released, and no kidding, that people thought Star Wars Battlefront was bad, but UFC has it so that you all your fighters have certain moves in loot boxes, where a punch can literally be upgraded to a 5-star punch via a loot box. So it's like, EA never learn, or they just don't, they're not learning, and it is harming them as a company. But Star Wars Battlefront 2, back to actually as a game made by DICE, shows how good DICE are at making games, and making that kind of game. So I'm glad you've had fun with it. I've had good times with it, but it always leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I feel like I need to go have a shower after playing it.
All right, we are going to take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about 2018. Stick around, everybody. Hey, man, I'm back.
Hello.
There we go. Sorry about that.
You're right, no worries, no worries, no worries. I understand.
Let me shut off the music. Oh, man, I've been recording. Okay, let me stop recording. I'm going to call that Game of the Year. And now, let me file, save project as. All right. And I will mute that. Go back. And we can record the second half.
Woo.
All right. Give me some levels. I want to hear you.
What do you need to hear? What do you need to hear? I'm here. I'm here. Oh, wow. Didn't know you can put so many. Okay.
All right. I think that's probably good. What's that?
I don't know what the chat's been doing while we've been away.
Yeah. All right.
Misbehaving.
So that wraps up 2017. Let's talk about our predictions and hopes for next year. We each said that we would bring 5 of them, and I brought a few more than that, but I don't have to use excuse me, I don't have to use all of them. I think who did the, yeah, I just went with Zelda, so it's your turn. Why don't you tell us one thing that you want to see happen or that you predict to happen in 2018?
Sony bring out a decent handheld? No, I'm joking. So one of my big predictions is, a game that I think everyone should really get a hold of is something called Rainbow Skies. It's going to be completely underneath the carpet. It's a tactical RPG developed by I can't even think East Asia Soft, however you pronounce it. They did a game a few years back that's on the Vita and the PlayStation 3. And Rainbow Skies comes to the PS3, the PS4, and the Vita. That's one of my predictions for next year. This is going to be a very good tactical RPG, and I've been following them closely, in contact with the devs as well, because I think the game is going to be great. Really, really good. I pre-ordered my copy, but I've pre-ordered it on the Vita because I want to be able to take it around with me. And I hope they actually bring it over to the Switch, but I think they have a deal with PlayStation that, it's going to be on there for a while. But that's one of my predictions for 2018, and one of my real big hopes is that this game is going to be good. Rainbow Sky. So if you don't know it, put it on your radar. If you own a PS4, a PS3, or a Vita, it's a great game. And their first one's pretty cheap as well. It's like £10 or £12. So it's well worth a pickup. So there you go. That's one of my predictions for 2019.
It's funny that you joke about one of your predictions, and the first one that I thought of is that Sony's going to make a Vita 2. I think that Sony just said, I think it was 2 weeks ago, they said that they cannot just ignore the Switch. And I think that Sony, it was predicted that they were going to bring it to E3 last year. And I said, when that was rumored, I said, there's no way that that's going to happen because the Switch hasn't been around long enough to show Sony that this is the right move. And, Sony just didn't bring one. So I think that this year we might hear about a new portable from Sony. I don't think we'll hear about one from Microsoft, but I think that we're going to hear about one from Sony. And I think that's good for gaming in general because it'll make more competition for Nintendo to, push their stuff forward a little bit too.
Yeah, Nintendo pretty much reigned the handheld market. But my theory, I did think it was pretty much the same as you, but I kind of think it's a little bit senseless. I think it'd be mad unless they learn from the mistakes of the Vita. The Vita itself is an amazing console. If you don't actually have one, or I've never used one, it's brilliant at what it does. But its Achilles heel was Sony. Sony was its Achilles heel. That was always going to be its problem. Sony didn't market it right. I did an episode on it a few months back, but I had to can it because I just went on a complete rant, and that's unlike me. In a Zen Zap doesn't rant; he talks. So I mean, and it's things like the memory card, and I hope if they do it, Sony listen and learn. So yes, we'll wait and see. E3 is June. If you're right, I'll eat my hat.
All right. If I'm wrong, I won't eat a hat. Let's hear your second prediction.
My second prediction, game or hardware. I think, and this is a kind of a we touched on Star Wars Battlefront. We may see the legislations and stuff for the loot boxes, the gambling style loot boxes. I think that EA and in 2018 really do kind of learn from their mistakes, and they pull them from games or just make them cosmetics. In like games like Overwatch and stuff like that. And I think in 2018 we'll see less and less of these egregious loot boxes, and hopefully that's kind of something that happens. I genuinely do think that 2018 in that side of gaming is going to be a better side to it than what we've seen in this back end of 2017. You ask many people, and what do they remember from gaming? Because it's been so meteorite, it's in the media, popularized by all that kind of thing. They'll say the loot box kind of fiasco, but I have got hope. Maybe I'm just being too hopeful. I've got hope in games companies that we will see kind of an end, not an end because they've got to fund games, but an end to the ones where they lock content, as in game stuff behind gambling style loot boxes. So I have hope. That's one of my predictions for 2018.
It's funny because my next prediction is that developers and publishers are going to continue to experiment with microtransactions.
Wow, so you're the dark side of it all, and there I am being hopeful.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, the way I look at it is game prices have not kept up with inflation. Money keeps getting... the amount of money that we keep paying for games, $60 is not what it used to be. And so...
No, of course.
Games also keep getting more and more expensive to make. They require more people to be on staff to make the assets and the things that go into the game. They have to find a way to monetize this stuff somehow. So we're going to continue to see developers and publishers experiment with microtransactions to try and see how hard they can push the players before they get pushed back. And, Star Wars Battlefront... They got pretty heavy pushback, and all they said is we're not going to do the microtransactions for now. That doesn't mean that they won't come back later. In fact, I think their COO said that they're going to continue working on microtransactions because they have to, or they can't afford to make the games that they make. And I totally get where they're coming from. I just hope that you're right and that they find a way to do it the right way. Whereas some people have found the right way to do things. Developers like Psyonix, who make Rocket League, like that's the right way for me. I've talked to some people who don't even like the cosmetic stuff because it turns people into the haves and have-nots. What I would just prefer to see is no loot boxes, but feel free to have microtransactions where I can buy a skin to change what something looks like, but don't make it a gambling loot box. And I do agree with you that we'll probably see some kind of legislation proposed. I don't know if it'll be successful, but some kind of legislation proposed that'll say, and it doesn't even have to be legislation. It could just be the ESRB, that's the American version of... I don't think that you guys use the ESRB over there, do you? You have your own rating board.
We have a rating board.
Right.
I can't think what their name is currently.
The various rating boards are what I think is going to happen is that they will say, if you have gambling in your game, it is going to be rated M. Yeah. And that would be really nice, and I think that would drive a lot of developers away from that monetization model. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. I'm being hopeful because of the way the way it's kind of bit EA in the backside in this. And I will say this, okay, and I will hold my hand up. I have bought into the EA loot box. I played Ultimate Team a hell of a lot back in the 2 or 3 years ago. I really got caught up in the loot box and buying packs, and I don't have a problem with like the loot box, random loot box in a free to play game like Hearthstone. At the end of that, I haven't shelled out any money for the game, so okay, fine, then monetize it in whatever way you feel that you need to. But with a free to play game, there's always going to be some kind of monetization behind it. But the EA thing really did kind of leave a, maybe it was just because it was Star Wars mainly, and don't mess with that IP. Come on, EA, you're messing with Star Wars fans, and some of them get pretty angry. So it's going to be difficult because I think EA have gone too far. And there was an update, actually, I believe, the other day that they may now not bring microtransactions back to Star Wars Battlefront 2 at all, in the same manner as what we've seen. So we could see a cosmetic-based microtransaction. Again, I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me. I'm not one of these players that needs to have the shiny thing that you over there has. It doesn't actually bother me at all. What bothers me is, as we've said, when it is things that make someone more powerful, or content locks behind these kind of microtransactions. There's no need for it in that kind of sense. So that's quite nice to hear. We're both kind of a bit of opposite sides of the spectrum on that one.
Yeah. All right. You went first twice. I'll go first now.
Yeah.
My next prediction is that Nintendo is going to show off at least one new IP this year. So instead of just resting on their current intellectual property, I think that they're going to bring out new stuff, kind of like they did with Splatoon, kind of like they did with ARMS, something brand new that nobody sees coming. For a long time, everybody always said Nintendo just puts out Mario and Zelda games. And then in the past few years, Nintendo showed that they have really good instincts when it comes to designing new intellectual property. And I think that ARMS and Splatoon, I think they're going to have some company very soon.
Yeah. I got a prediction. My prediction for Game of the Year next year won't be on the Nintendo platform. I think Sony will bring something out next year. Maybe that's the inner fanboy speaking, but I generally think that Sony have got a lot of IPs in the works for next year that have got a massive chance of taking the world by storm. Unfortunately, Xbox doesn't really. I can't see Xbox having too much on the horizon. And poor Xbox, it's a great system. I now own one. It's a fantastic console. But I think Sony are going to take the crown in some way, shape, or form. Probably not steal the show like Nintendo did this year. I mean, Nintendo ran away with it in 2017. They just 1 month after the next month after the next month, just literally bang, 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 bang. Yeah, here's another game. Oh, here's another game. I think there's going to be a game that Sony bring out that I think will take the crown next year. I think it's going to be a runaway success of from Sony from something, and you have great games coming out. And there's one I'm going to talk about in a minute that really has kind of really sparked my interest. So that's one of my predictions for next year. Sony are going to quite possibly take a crown for Game of the Year next year.
Fair enough. I think that next year we're going to get a Jurassic World VR game. I think that that's almost a foregone conclusion. With I think that would be really cool too. You've played some VR.
Yeah. So the reason I got to go on about it again, but the reason I did the two PC things was to stream VR. I tried streaming earlier this year, Alien Isolation in VR, and we had a few problems. It wasn't smooth and all that kind of stuff. So we set out the idea to build a new PC to run VR. We got it running fine. And then apparently I suffer from motion sickness, even if it's at the correct frame rate. It's unbelievable. I've done a few VR streams now this year, and I can't wear the headset more than 30 minutes. It's unbelievable. I can't even wear it long enough to play Alien Isolation at a decent length of time because I want to experience it in VR, but at the same time, I don't think my chat wants to see me puke on. Actually, hang on a minute. Let me think who actually comes to my chat. Yeah, they would love to see me puke. I know what they're like. But I personally wouldn't want to do that. I mean, and, you know, it was that night when I streamed it off one computer where I realised that I needed it at a certain frame. I had Alien Isolation turned right down graphically. I had everything off, and still I got this motion sickness. So, again, we built this computer. And then I tried it again, and I couldn't do it. So my Oculus Rift is now packed up. I've been reading that the Vive is a better headset. And when I've gone to things like EGX, which is the biggest gaming convention here in the UK, I've always used a Vive headset, never got motion sickness. So it could be a headset thing. And I was talking to my dad. My dad originally, it was his Oculus. It's here. I'll show you chat. Oh, breaking stuff. There you go. That's the Oculus Rift that I have. It's an amazing piece of kit. And VR is definitely on the way. 2018, I think, will be VR's year. But you got to get the right headset. And I'm going to try Vive in 2018. And if I can get the Vive sorted out, because the Vive also links well with Steam. You don't have to have any kind of backdoors. The Vive works perfectly with Steam, you see. So that's my take on VR.
Yeah, I don't think that 2018 is going to be the year for VR because it's still too expensive. But I do think that we're going to see things like Jurassic World, things related to the big blockbuster movies that are coming out. You'll see a VR version of that. That doesn't mean it'll be good. It doesn't mean it'll be bad. But I think that it would be really cool to have like a quote unquote point and click adventure style game in the Jurassic World universe where you were wearing a headset and you can see like the dinosaurs walking over you and chasing you down. I think that'd be awesome.
They have a Spider-Man Homecoming one on Oculus. I'm yet to even try it because I think I will puke.
You know what? I wouldn't try that one. Oh my God. No, thank you. What's your next prediction?
I will still be confused as I am right now about Death Stranding in 2018.
You don't think it's coming out this year or next year?
Kojima will do as Kojima pleases. And I just sit there and pray that it does, because I think that he has the internet in his palm, because people love Kojima. And I am one of those people. I adore his work. I think he's a fantastic developer. I think he's unbelievable. And he has a certain style that reaches out to me personally. I mean, if anybody doesn't know who Kojima is, he was part of the team that created Metal Gear Solid. And Metal Gear Solid was an expanded universe that went over 30 years. And once you played all games, you understood how this universe entwined. Now, if anybody's wondering what Death Stranding is his latest project. When he left Konami, he set up his own studio, and he's made Death Stranding. And there was a lengthy trailer at the Game Awards. Go watch it. It's weird.
Very weird.
It's so odd. Norman Reedus is in it. Mad Mikkelsen is also in it. It's directed by is it Odero Toro? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, that's it. Guillermo del Toro. Now, if people don't know, these guys were working on PT. Now, PT was supposed to be the next Silent Hill. Now, there are very rare PlayStation 4s out there that you can buy off eBay with PT installed, because it was on the PlayStation Store and then it was taken off for whatever reason, Konami. But Death Stranding is shaping up to be one of the most confusing games that I really am, because it's Kojima's work, but it's also Kojima without any strings behind it. It's Kojima doing Kojima, and it's odd. Go watch the trailer and see if you can work out what is going on, because I've watched it 4 or 5 times. Yeah, still confused.
Yeah, it's a weird looking game. I'm looking forward to checking it out, though. I probably won't pick it out pick it up right away. I'm not a huge Kojima fan, not because I don't like his work, but because I haven't really experienced his work. I did pick up Metal Gear Solid 5 for free because I have PS Plus, and I'm sure I'll get around to playing that someday. But it's just a free game. But I don't have any experience myself with Kojima's work. But it's definitely the trailer is bananas. It's really crazy looking.
Yeah. It's like 10 minutes long. But and I will say this: there's no in-game footage. It's apparently all in engine, but there's no in-game footage. And I believe the engine is from the guys who did Horizon Zero Dawn. It's the same company.
Cool.
So there's a little bit of inside knowledge.
All right, we each have one more. Uno Mas. I'm looking at a couple of them. I'm trying to pick between them, and I'm going to let you go first.
My last one is what I'm going to have a lot of fun with, and I think that's going to be Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is a pirate simulator coming out for Windows and Xbox in March 20th. We got the release date at the Game Awards. I played some of this at EGX. It's so much fun. I can't wait to be a pirate. I'm sorry, I don't care. I want to be a pirate. Everyone does. It's going to be so much fun, especially if you've got friends playing it. It's crossplay, which is great. So that thing that Sony doesn't believe in. And it's looking good. The idea is that you have a band of men and you go away and you pillage and you act like a pirate, basically. And it's done by Rare, and Rare in the previous years have had some really good games. So I hope this is my prediction that I'm going to have the most fun in. I'd probably end up playing it and be really disappointed, but I can hope. So there you go. Sea of Thieves is what I'm hoping is to be the game in 2018 I had the most fun with.
All right. So my hope, you helped me narrow down my list. My hope for this year is that Darwin Project will be released on the PS4. Maybe this, I don't really care if it's released on the Switch. It's not really a game that I care to have portably or not. But Darwin Project, I absolutely want that. And this brings us right back to the beginning. Both of us, our very first games that we talked about for 2017's Game of the Year, we both picked Arena, Last Man Standing style games. Darwin Project is another Arena, Last Man Standing style game. The thing that makes it unique is the director. And as you're playing, they have like this robot that flies around and another player is controlling that robot, and they are narrating like what you are doing to their audience, and they can affect the outcome. I was playing it with some friends, and it was two of us were ganging up against this one other guy, and the director swooped in and gave the other guy like some boosts to make him more powerful so he could have a better fight against us. And it was absolutely awesome. Now, right now, it's on PC and it's on Xbox. Now, I don't have an Xbox. I have a PC and I could play it just fine on PC, but I can't stream it on PC because my computer can't do both at the same time. So my hope is that it comes to PS4 so that I can play it and stream it at the same time. That game is so fun. And the main difference, or another big difference between that and the other Arena Last Man Standing games, is this is only 10 players rather than 100. And so you would think that would be less, but no, it just really condenses everything and it makes the matches happen much, much faster. I had a lot of fun playing it. I am looking forward to playing more of it when it comes out next year.
Cool.
All right. Well, that is it. That's the end of the year for us. Zap, thanks so much for joining me on this this episode. Where is it, real quick, that people can find you again?
You can find me on twitch.tv/ZapDCeed. That's ZAPPDCED. It's the same for YouTube and Twitter. Follow me on social media to find out when I go live on Twitch. I mainly stream on Twitch. I'm pretty much a variety streamer over there. And we do crazy stuff. So, yeah, if you want to come and check me out, come and check me out. I'm over there somewhere.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you all next year. Bye, man.
Bye.
There we go. We're done.
Yay! Game of the year. Oh, the wrap up done. Man, it's been a crazy year for games, guys. It really has.
It has.
That list was so difficult. You know, I sat and I had 6, and Zelda was in there, and I was like, no, do you know what? I've got to pick on personal preference. It's not about what game is this, what game is that. Personal preference takes me this way. So it was difficult. I'd love to know what chat's game of the year is. I think most of them are going to say Zelda.
Well, that's easy. I'm going to make a channel on the Discord, and on the Discord, I can't do it yet because I'm talking to you, but on the Discord, I'm going to make a channel, and you guys go in there. The channel will be Game of the Year, and you guys just go in there and say your Game of the Year, which one you loved the most. But I got to go. So have a good one, Zap. Thanks for joining me, man.
See you later.
Bye-bye.